Hello, everyone. Thank you for the extremely interesting introduction, Sarah. I think she also set the stage for us to actually jump in. All I have to do now is introduce the panelists, and I think we'll be good to go. So with me today is Maud Mawad. She's managing partner at Matic. I've got also with me Amin Malhas, brand strategist at Wolf Ollins. We also have Wilson Aissa, managing director of Vivaki in Levant, and Boy Balogun, who's regional head of digital ad mindshare in MENA. And these are all the notes that I have for today. So this panel is about digital innovation in advertising. What is innovation in advertising? I mean, let's start with that. How about we try to answer that question before we move on and discussing it? Who'd like to start with that? Boy.
After you.
Wilson?
Go ahead.
Well, basically, we were having this discussion before jumping into this panel, and I basically threw in that basically nothing changed. The human is still the same. We live in groups. Humans live in groups. We only have now the technology to maybe connect more, talk more, chat more, or do stuff more frequently and just multitask. We've always been multitasking in one way or another. Now we have more technologies and more tools to do that.
So there's absolutely no innovation as far as you're concerned?
Obviously, there's innovation. I mean, but what I'm saying is that the human is a bunch of experiences. And now, if you want to go into communication, you need to identify or you need to add to his experience in one way or another.
So when a client comes to you, and you're in a brand consultancy agency, so when a client comes to you and says, I'd like some innovation, what would be your answer to that? Or some innovative idea?
Yeah, innovation. My answer would be, what's the purpose of what we're doing? What is the purpose of your communication? What are you adding to the consumer journey or to the consumer? I mean, we have a wealth of information out there. I'll give you an example. A few years back in Lebanon, if you wanted to buy a car, purchase a car, you would have access to your neighbors in a building. You go, you check in, you ask about a certain model. Now, all what you need to do is probably throw in a status, and you have hundreds of people commenting or giving you recommendations. So the need to ask and to search for information was already in us. Now, as humans or as consumers, they have tools to go and fish for information. And as an advertiser, once you understand that there's a wealth of information, you start, or you need to understand what are the tools or the ways to reach that consumer.
Okay.
And I believe I have pretty much the good panel to discuss all of these.
Okay, I thought you were starting to lobby that opinion and move on with it. Maud,
I gave him a lot of points to attack. That's just to make it more interesting.
We were discussing it with Wilson a couple of minutes ago. No, I do not agree with you.
So Maud, from a mobile advertising aspect,
exactly.
Right?
Innovation is when you start creating an engagement level or an interaction between the brand and the end user and the consumer, creating creative ads that creates this. So yes, in terms of behavioral economics, yes, people are the same, but no, they are improving in terms of interactivity with brands. I mean, 10 years ago, we used to see an ad and then that's it. Probably we don't see it. But now we're pushed more to interact with it. On Facebook, we like it. Also, no, we cannot say that consumer is like the same, is not improving or is not changing.
I would totally, is my mic on?
No.
Is this mic on?
Can everyone hear me?
No.
I mean, use this one.
Yes. Hi. I would totally agree with Maud, actually, and I think the scale and scope of communications technologies today change
Sorry,
fundamentally.
can you guys hear him? No, I can't. I don't think his
Is there a
mic's
technician?
working.
Can everyone hear me?
No.
Thank you.
But you have to stay close
I'll
to
stay
that
here,
one.
yeah.
Yes.
But I wanted to address what it became difficult. Basically, the scale and scope of communication today fundamentally alters the game. So the innovation, which Maud spoke of, it comes in many forms. And the way we're able to connect people across the globe now, suddenly, people who were not able to communicate before and form communities. So if we look at a model like Nike Plus, Nike Plus created a fundamentally different communication model with its core target market.
Okay.
And built, sorry, I feel there's an echo.
Is
there?
Yes, it's not working.
Thank you. Okay. So Nike Plus fundamentally built a new communication model around its core customer. Through people sharing maps, people were always competing, but now they were competing in different times. So you had a temporal dimension to the competition. People were always running, but now they were running together virtually across the world. So all of this fundamentally changes what people can communicate about. And I think that's the difference today, and I think that's innovative. So,
I'm with you. The human did not change.
Yeah.
You just gave him tools.
Okay, let's try to tackle this from a different aspect. Let's see if we can get
express
somewhere
and to be more vocal. I mean,
without fighting over whether
we've
innovation
been
is there or
discussing.
not.
I bumped into a friend outside, and he was telling me, and yes, probably social media, for example, probably give a tool for the introvert to speak more. But it doesn't mean that that person was not speaking. He was. He just now have an additional tool. And for an advertiser, you have also now an additional tool to connect and to give your customer another experience or an add-on experience.
But do you guys not think that the expectations of the user has changed? Like,
of course.
If I'm surfing the net about 10 years ago, and I'd see a banner, first thing I think is, first of all, this banner is not relevant to me.
Of course.
I mean, and most banners were not even targeting this region. Now I'd like to see one that's actually not relevant, just so I can at least know what the other people or what the other markets are doing. I mean, the amount of banners that are out there, let's use the example of banners for banners' sake, is just unbelievable. And the expectations of the users are to find all of these, so they kind of start turning a blind eye on it. And the reason why I started asking about innovation is I want to understand from you, how do you manage those consumers' expectations? What is it that you can do to be able to at least stand out and showcase some sort of message? Are we still working with iMedia as much as we were 5 years ago or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yes?
Well, I'm just thinking about it. We're going very, very channel specific, right? We're talking about innovations in digital and advertising. So if you ask your client, what does innovation actually mean? And, open to the floor and open to the panel. What does that actually mean to you, right? What is innovations?
Okay.
Any of you guys? I mean, for me, it's something new. It's something that changes the status quo. It's something that's unexpected. It's a new value. It's a new process, right? It's taking the industry further.
Okay.
So when you look at all the campaigns, look at MENA campaigns over the last 12 months, what can you say is truly new?
I'm going to interrupt you again. Can everybody hear everybody from the audience? Okay, because I can't
we
hear
can't
him.
hear you, yes.
Because I cannot hear him, and he's on the stage with me.
Better?
Much better.
Yeah, that's good. So, for me, taking a step back and going, what's innovation, right? It's got to be new. It's got to change the game, right? So how many things have done that are not global trends, that are Middle East, North Africa trends in the past 12 months?
Okay, so what have you done in the past 12 months that have changed the game or at least contributed to it?
Oh, loads of stuff. So one of the campaigns, I think my team's in the crowd somewhere, one of the campaigns we recently done for Marks & Spencer in Jordan is the virtual closet, right? So a new store launch in Jordan for Marks & Spencer.
Okay.
And, they still fit in the store. They hadn't opened the building yet. You're going past as a customer would, and normally you just see a big sign saying coming soon. And there's no real interaction. So what we did and what the team did was, first of all, they had a kind of a 3D printing on the actual store fitting, so to bring that to life a little bit. But we had a virtual closet. It was essentially a screen with a camera that takes 64 frames for every second.
Okay.
And essentially what you could do is stand in front of the screen, right? It captures your images, displays it on the screen, and give you options in terms of clothes. So you can try different jackets on, different shirt, different shoes, And if you like it, you can, complete your outfit and you can share that with friends. So that's interesting. That's interesting in two ways, because it's interactive in the social world, because you send it to your friends on, Facebook, on Twitter, on whatever social platform. But also, it's a shared experience because other people can see you participating in this activity. And I'm not, there's a difference between innovation and adoption, right? A global trend that we just take on in the region is adoption. What I'm truly excited about are things that are unique to the Middle East, to unique to us, and not a trend from the West. Because, global trends, right? Everyone's talking about data right now. And data is really interesting. But how do we use it? How do we use it in terms of, the Arabic language differently? How does that work for us?
Let's talk about data later. Well, let's stick to channels, content, and what what innovative advertising is actually doing.
Sure.
So your example was, this is not about defining it whether it's innovative or not, but it's actually creating something in a new channel. It's like you actually try to create a new channel that has some sort of a digital content. So maybe that does get categorized as innovation, but is that what it's going to become? Is it just about finding some sort of a new channel that I can put something that people are not used to, and then it's no longer innovative, and then I have to go and find something else? Is that, are we in a never-ending hunt for channels that are running out?
Well, just one thing before you continue. Channels very, very specific again, right? So innovations will always be driven by two things, majorly. Technology and creativity. And the best campaigns is an integration of both of those, right? And technology will always move, and they will create new channels for us. Creativity is, it's up here. It's an original thinking. So, that's interesting.
I was just telling you, I wanted to tell you that, again, you have to find new channels because of technology. I mean, today we have 3G, next year we have 4G, and all this is to give you some sort of services, or on the advertising side, some new channels to communicate to your consumers. Yes, you have to find new channels.
Do we all agree that new channels is a critical part of innovation?
I think calling them channels is doing them an injustice, to be honest, because they're not only new channels. What we described as a fundamentally new experience. If you're able to curate an experience on a storefront for a customer, that's something fundamentally new. And channel, which comes from physics and radio waves and has now transcended into TV and radio, and we still use it in the digital age, is a throwback to the old days. So I think we need to step out of this channel mentality, because channels are mediums which we use to communicate, but when we create experiences, it's a fundamentally different paradigm.
Wilson, question for you. When we talk about, I mean, and you've been highlighting this also off the stage, but during our discussion for the panel, you raised a lot of questions about efficiency, or why, what's the point, what is the end point, what is the conclusion, what is the aim, what is the objective? How do you start with that, or how do you end with that, or how do you even try to communicate or get the point out from the client to be able to achieve such a thing?
Anything in any task you want to do, there's a purpose for that task that you're doing. Any campaign you're launching, anything you're trying to communicate, there should be a purpose of it. Now, once you identify the purpose and you identify the right KPIs, I mean, the beauty of technology today is you can launch actually campaigns. I'm not expert, by the way, in all the tools. The guys here probably are more expert.
Can you give us examples of objectives before we move on? Like, what could be an objective?
It can be conversion. It can be footfall. It can be, for example, if you want to launch a campaign to drive equity, for example. I'm going to talk also about probably what tools we lack in this region. Let's say we want to launch digital campaigns to help or to add on into our equity communication. We need, obviously, you launched your display campaign. Obviously, you support it with your social and
the banners, the Facebooks, the Twitters.
Search now is the trend. Maybe you throw in a little bit of search. So
the perfect recipe.
But exactly. So you have your data gurus who are analyzing the click-through rates and traffic, etc. But also you need what we call social listening tools
Yeah.
that are available in this region. I'm sure we have good tools, but probably we still lack in terms of listening to, or the tools we have. One of the challenges of the tools we have in this part of the region is the Arabic language. I mean, if you want to track, the beauty of it, you can track it.
Yeah.
You can launch a campaign and track it, but do we have all the tools now? We still lack.
We've got some
way
problems
in
with
technology
evaluating
to actually
the sentiments.
Evaluate. So going back, I mean, once you identify the purpose of the campaign and what you want to achieve, there are also, the beauty of digital is that you can actually track, you can adjust and improve. And basically that sums up.
How is it, how easy or difficult is it to do that on mobile in your experience? How easy is it to attract, first of all, stand out from all the other banners or all the other clutter that's out there? And how easy is it to monitor, and what kind of analytics do you already get? What kind of learnings do you get from every time somebody clicks on a banner on their phone?
Okay, so we're discussing here banners and
talking
not any
about,
type
no,
of mobile marketing.
Let's start with that, and then we'll move on to the other
Okay,
channels.
let's start with the banners mobile advertising.
Is everybody familiar with banners on mobile and how different they are from regular banners? No.
Okay, so mobile advertising is divided into two categories. They can be something called push, like push SMS, push MMS, or whatever, USSDs. And they can be on the pull category, which is in-application advertising, in-game advertising, those banners you see on the top or on the bottom
So you
of
could
the
either
app.
be in a database and somebody sends something to you, or you could happen to be using a channel that's pushing banners to you.
Exactly. So
Okay.
this is the pull advertising. So when we discuss in-application advertising, yes, we can measure them. The measurement, I mean, usually what is being done currently is that we have our own tracking system, and then there's someone who's a trusted third-party tracking that's going on the measurement side. What we can measure, yes, we can measure from the click to up and going to all type of engagement, whether this is data of the user, whether this can be liking or sharing on the social media, or yes, we have a lot of measurement tools that we usually use, all tracked.
So let's assume I ran a campaign on banners or on mobile advertising that promotes ArabNet, the event. Okay?
Yes.
So I would come to you and say, I'd like to do this. And how could you help me? What is it that I can target? Let's try to explain to our audience what kind of targeting do we have? How can we be creative in being able to position these things? And then let's start thinking of other channels that do the same. This is at least what I would like out of this panel.
On mobile advertising, you have several advanced targeting options. It can start from the usual online, like time of the day and country and IP and so on, going to the GPS targeting, location-based targeting. It can also be based on region, like IP. It can also be based on whatever. So yes, eventually we can use the same online targeting option. Additionally, we use the phone or the GPS feature of the phone to target even further.
Okay, so you can tell what phone they're using. You can tell where they are precisely.
Akid, yes.
You can tell what language they're using on their device.
That depends on the inventory. That depends on the application. If the application sends the language it's using, yes, you can target by language. So it depends on the inventory.
I mean, how would you be able to elaborate on this in terms of what new channels can be used? Let's say, again, for the sake of an example, promoting an event or whatever it is.
I think it's actually a very interesting question because in-app advertising tends to talk. Sorry. Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah, much better.
Okay, thank you. So in-app advertising tends...
Again, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't move.
I'm not going to move.
Don't move.
Okay. Where were we? Sorry.
Mobile advertising, banner, targeting options.
Got it. Okay. So in-app advertising is interesting because it does demographic and location-based targeting. But when we look at brand building for the long term, so I'm involved in a brand consultancy, and our view is slightly longer term. The guys here can probably offer more actionable, helpful advice. I can help you dream into the future. So what we do is, when we look at the future, we talked about ArabNet and advertising that, we feel the future is moving towards transactional.
Okay.
So Maud mentioned generating large amounts of data. That suddenly makes you accountable to the client.
Yes.
We also have ubiquitous computing. We know where the user is, what his age is, what he's searched for, etc. That drives another level of accountability. And there's a force post-crisis. The whole world's looking to spend very cautiously. So gone are the days of massive spending.
Yep.
So these three trends converging are creating what we feel is more transactional rather than brand building communications in terms of advertising. So it's going to be a lot about how many, from the impression to the transaction, how many did you get me?
So when Sarah asked the example of how many of you guys have purchased something online or done some sort, not even purchased something online, purchased something based on viewing a promotion of it or some sort of an advertising online and have the stage raise their hands. Are you telling me we're capable of tracking every single one of these transactions?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Even
of
if the
course.
transactions happen offline?
But what we're not able to track, and I'm sure the answer would be inverted, I hope, I could be wrong, is if we ask how many people of you fell in love with someone because they mentioned, they popped a banner in front of you. How many of you fell in love with a brand or felt differently about the brand just because they said something on a banner?
Show of hands. How many people have changed their opinion of a brand, whether negatively or positively, after seeing banner advertising?
Okay, so
Cool.
Does this mean there's no more advertising?
this means
Or there's
that
no use of advertising?
this means that advertising will fundamentally shift into what Maud is mentioning, a measurable, transactions-based, contextual approach, which is highly analytical and very driven. And the guys here can probably lend more insight into that. But just
Yes.
brand building as an activity will rely on other things such as the experience Boye mentioned. So suddenly we're all doing each other's business. Media agencies are doing brand building, branders are suggesting media channels, and we're all, because it's a new world and it's...
It is measurable,
Yeah,
and
go
it
ahead.
is, you can identify behavior and probably look at the individual when he dropped his cart online and what caused him or what are the, what made him drop his cart. But it's also, it is data, it is technology, but also it is the understanding of that person and in terms of offering him a good experience, be it online or offline. We are consuming content and media around 28 hours a day based on our latest study. So we are multitasking. The more content we have, the more content is accessible to us, we become more selective. And if you are selective, you are doing something, let's say digital, you have all the research people coming in and analyzing your behavior. But if you're not offering him a good experience, a good innovative experience, or a good creative experience, it will pass him, he will filter it directly, and your entire communication or your entire campaign would have,
So
you would be doing the right thing. Yeah, you tracked him, but you tracked him and you lost him, and you came into the conclusion that you lost him. So you have to do it all over again. The beauty of it now is you can do it all over again.
Okay.
Because now you know when
him.
you lost him.
Boy, if I came to you and I told you, what kind of channels can you offer me? Can you come up with a list or a couple of ideas that are not usually things that people would think of?
Yeah, I don't think you get many new channels, right? You look at kind of digital and the opportunities, right?
So let's
You've
forget
got
about traditional banners, Facebook and Twitter, which are on every media plan,
Well,
Google search.
that's the mistake every single client makes, right? So last year, every single client will come to us and say, I want to do Facebook.
Okay.
It's not, I want to be a social business, which is the beginning of the problem, because then we'll go straight to fan acquisition. You know, my numbers are either my nearest competitor. Main channels for us, I would say, is standard digital display, banner advertising, mobile, growing, social media, which is a lot more than Facebook. You know, just look at the Instagram users growing in the Middle East. Or look at even Vine. It's what launched 2 months ago. You look at numbers of users on that. Performance marketing, so not just search, but everything from web analytics to search engine optimization to real-time bidding. So, you know, that's changed the market a little bit. And I guess, between us, we can see trends across MENA. And innovations always follows these trends. And if I was to say 5 key things that we can see, and you probably share the same opinion as media agencies, we can see that data is becoming very, very important. So data ownership for a brand is becoming very, very important. What do I know about my customer to talk to them again, to remarket, to retarget? So that's a key area. So now most media agencies are buying from real-time exchanges. So the data that we're using to make our advertising decision is not made on the fact that a user has shown interest in a particular vehicle on a car 6 months ago. It's recent. So, within a minute, within seconds, if a user shows interest in a particular category, be it fashion or travel, we can put that user in a segment and target them. So data is really, really important. Mobile is obviously changing the game for us. But it's not mobile just for advertising, because display advertising on mobile is only one part of it. It's what you can do with mobile as a device. The location-based elements of it, near-field communications, the fact that it's even the iPhone itself's got functions that you can't get from a desktop. And then in addition to that, you start thinking about the really rich media creative we see on our standard ads. So, 11 years ago when I started in digital advertising, would have to book a on-page takeover on Yahoo or MSN to get a big impact. Now you can have that same impact in a creative banner scaled across network. And that's really, really, it's taken digital from being a pure performance tool, or channel rather, to even doing brand and a kind of brand engagement and taking that to the next level. So that's interesting. And finally, if you look at last year, we saw a few good branded content campaigns, what I call Brand Plus. So the Diet Coke plus 007 example, the Red Bull Felix Stratus Project example. Mm-hmm. So this is a brand saying, I'm not just going to advertise to you, I'm going to give you something of value. I'm going to give you some content. So it's taking it from advertising to valuetizing, because consumers they're not stupid. They know there's multiple ads you're serving them on Facebook is to try and make them convert. So they're asking questions. You're talking to them in social media spaces, and they're going, well, this is a private space for me. It's for friends and family. What have you got to offer me? Okay. So brands are finding credible spaces where they can connect and they can engage better. So it's beyond advertising. It's really the major trend I'm interested in this year.
Okay, so keywords are technology, creativity, data, in addition to, of course, and all of that has to be relevant in terms of content. These are the keywords that I'm hearing from all of you.
You have to give something for your consumer. You don't have to show him the banner. As Boye was saying, you have to give him something in return. So like, scratch my back, scratch yours.
So why are people still doing banners? If none of you guys agree that banners are useful, if none of you guys click on banners...
No. It's not about... No, we're not agreeing that banners are useless. We're saying that to use banners, you have to use them in a certain standard that embed all those 4 keywords that we were just saying.
But how many banners are doing that? I go online every day. I don't think, if I go to a website and all the banners are doing that, I probably won't be able to do anything on it other than engage with the banners.
And I think if you look at the digital advertising rates...
I know we keep coming back to banners, but it keeps being the culprit. It's the one that just doesn't want to go away and doesn't want to help us in any other way.
Digital advertising is far beyond banners.
I agree with you.
You're stuck in banners.
I think you have the banner issue, Fawzi.
I don't have a banner issue. I'm just trying to understand why every time we get to the banner thing, we stop and we say it's going to be useless unless it does something out of this world. And we keep saying that, but I don't see anything doing out of this world. Let's forget about banners. Let's talk about apps, for example. Have any of you done apps that would advertise or promote specific brands from a brand consultancy view, or from a media buying view, or even from a sponsorship point of view? Has somebody come to you and said, I've got a cool app, I don't have money to produce it, can you pay me and sponsor it? Is that a new way? Is that in any way good advertising?
And if you look at the trends, social gaming is gaining a lot of ground in this part of the world, and social gaming is part of this app or entire application advertising, and all advertisers in one way or another are interested in that field.
علي صوتك شوي.
But again, I mean, the general understanding, and thank you, at least I came out of something from this panel is, yes, maybe in this part of the world, whenever you tell someone about digital advertising, the top of mind would be banners.
And
when
that's
it's
sad,
not.
right?
There's an all sort of communication model that even taps into the offline media, where you can use your digital to add on your offline. Look at, for example, on the new programs or the TV programs, the regular TV station.
Yep.
You can hear that, you can hear comments that TV will die in a few years, and you look at ratings, and ratings are increasing. You have all sorts of social conversation going on specific programs or about specific programs. And with it, another layer came into the play is the apps that probably advertisers are using to uplift their sponsorship and content, tying up to other programs. So it's giving, digital and technology is giving advertisers add-on layers
And that's
to their
content,
communication. Right? It is content. I mean, what would you, I was asking someone last time, what would you call an app, the Abu Dhabi app on an LG TV, smart TV? Is that digital? Is that TV where actually you're watching a game on your regular TV set, but instead of receiving it through an antenna, you're actually
getting it over
streaming
the
it?
internet?
What is it? Is this digital?
It's a
Is
good
this
question.
an app? Is this a TV? So everything now came together, and it's different layers of the communication tools that we currently have.
Yeah. Can I answer your banner question, and then I've got something else to add to it. So
I'm going to open the questions to the audience in a bit.
So it's not banner advertising as such, right? It's display, digital display advertising, and banners the format. So you know the challenge for us as agencies, and even for advertisers, is how do we make that more interesting, right? The problem we have with kind of with apps, for example, is the scale. Right?
Okay.
So that we go where the audience is, and when we know where they are at the moment is they're across multiple websites. And apps can only do so much. Sometimes we can use that as the lead media, and it could perform really, really well, but it wouldn't be your traditional default selection on the site. So you start asking the question, what can we do with the actual formats, right? Now, we've got video. We've got video as a destination is massive, and it's growing massively, right? We've got everyone from, NBCShy.net, YouTube, Yahoo, putting, a lot of investment in that. So we've got those destinations, and we've got video as a format. We know video is really, really interactive. So more video formats, please. Let's get your TVCs. Let's put them in video MPUs for a start. Then also, loads of advertisers have got social platforms. They've got everything from Twitter to YouTube. It's sat there somewhere. They've got their website sat somewhere else. And then we run into advertising in a silo. So let's start to connect those dots, right? When a user interacts with our ad, let's give them multiple things to do, right? They can buy, right? They can follow you. They can tweet about you. But we can interact a bit better on those banner advertising. But it's a problem of scale. That's the main thing.
It's also a problem of measurability. I mean, in a banner, you can measure the impression, you can measure the click, you can measure, whereas if you want to invest in a mobile application, and really there's a scale issue over here, so obviously you would go for a banner where you can measure, calculate.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's practicality
It's math,
as well.
yeah.
I mean, you ask about innovation, and I saw someone's tweet on the wall saying, none of us have really answered the question about what innovation is. But that's fine as long as whatever you term innovation to be is the same as what your client terms it to be. Great, you're on the same line. But for
No, but I think
me,
we did define it. We said it's
Yes,
a
it's
mix
a-
of
Yeah.
technology
Yeah.
and creativity.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's a formula of 5
okay, we've
keywords.
answered that
Right.
question. But for me, you look at the future of digital. It's two things, right? It's devices, like, you know, whether that be your phone, your laptop,
Your
your
TV,
wherever
whatever.
it is, and it's connectivity. So we've evolved from calling it internet marketing to digital marketing, and you know, soon enough we'll just call it connected marketing. Samsung have got their connected cameras now. We've got connected TVs. Anything that we can pipe advertising through, the people are interacting with, that's what we'll be doing. So you know,
I think it's very interesting. Wilson touched upon the convergence sort of brand experiences, and you're touching upon the divergence of channels and touchpoints.
Yes.
And those two trends are complementary in the sense that they're both creating a new brand management model, if you will. So in the same way that
It becomes a portfolio of
yeah,
some
it's
sort.
in the same way total quality management saved manufacturing in the 80s. Today we were looking at a business of total experience management, and this is where it's going. So all of these experiences and across all these converging medias must be managed in a holistic way that cuts across.
absolutely.
All right, let's get some questions from the audience. See if we got any questions.
One more thing. Sorry,
Go ahead,
but
real quick.
To narrow down innovation into simply the digital,
Yes.
it's really not cutting it for
That's true.
innovation.
If you
is
want to
drama.
limit
You can
innovation
be
into only a
innovative
digital
beyond
format, then
digital.
it's no
You can
longer
be
innovation
innovative in
either.
everything you do in terms of communication. So innovation has nothing to do with digital.
No, that was the
Digital
question. What is the digital
one
innovation?
One way or one tool to become more innovative, if you want.
Okay. Well, let's get some questions from the audience. I'd like to see a show of hands. Mike.
I'm Raja Awais from Alt City.
Okay.
I have a question, since you guys are speaking about innovation, but no one's ever touched on things like, for example, viral ad campaigns or augmented reality product placement and branding. And I think these are innovations, but
They are
I
indeed.
just want to get your takes on them, because this is like, we're kind of have a ceiling on our innovation conversation right now.
Okay.
But I think this is an avenue for that.
Can
so I'd
someone
like
just
to
tell
get
me
your
how much time we have, because we started at an off time? 20 minutes. Excellent. All right, who'd like to pick up on
Yes,
this question?
again,
Mobile.
we haven't
Let's go.
had the chance to say what are the main 4 emerging channels in mobile advertising, but AR is one of them. Like, we have augmented reality, we have location-based advertising, and I totally agree with you that augmented reality is a very key player in mobile advertising, along with banners. Don't be angry. Okay. So yes, I totally agree with you. AR should be in the very near future, but I think we have just one problem in the measurement and then the investment of advertisers, because the mobile advertising budgets are still shy.
Don't we also
Boy
have?
is gonna solve this one
Do we
day.
not have a technology issue? I mean, every time I need to play with
No.
augmented reality, I need to download a specific app for that.
Yeah.
Doesn't that
Yes.
kind of limit it?
Yeah,
Yes.
that is a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the example, the case study for Max and Spencer that I covered earlier about virtual close-up, one of the activations is actually augmented reality. I don't think I just explained that better. I think that's really exciting for us as you know, as agencies, and for the advertisers, they're asking a lot of activations in that area. I mean, something we're doing for one of our clients is basically, we've just said every single every single press campaign that you have has got to have an augmented reality activation. You know, the cost base is low, the content kind of fits in, and it just makes, you know, it makes perfect sense to be connecting the physical world to the virtual world in that way, and bringing all those, you know, display ads to life. When you look at that integration, actually, you start to think about interstitial ads on iPads, for example. It's kind of, you know, nearly that same experience. So mobile is really interesting, but, you know, augmented reality, how do you actually measure that? When your clients start asking, right, what is the business value? You know, for me as a digital agency man, that's truly, you know, I'm really, really excited about doing all that. I do think we face some challenges in terms of selling it. Some of our main clients totally get it. They get digital. They've been doing it for years. And it's really engaging and it's great. But to scale it and make it something everyone's involved in and kind of putting their budget against.
Let's take another question.
Actually, can I interfere?
Yes,
I
go
want to
ahead.
add a comment. Here, I'm here.
Yeah.
There you
Okay, so The panel till now is discussing.
Louder, please.
Yes, the panel till now is discussing one side of the advertising, that is from the advertising to the consumer.
Yes.
But I think that one comment should be done on the process that happens before it reaches the consumer.
The process that happens before it reaches the consumer.
Yes, because as we're talking about innovation, and I think the innovation comes, let's say, from the people who are working behind this ad campaigns or the media. And here, from speaking in the region, especially in Lebanon, I think there's a gap between the education.
The agencies in the media?
Yeah, what?
Are you talking about from an agency point of view versus media?
No, I'm talking about there's a gap between the education that is given to the designers and the advertising students and marketeers before they reach the company. There isn't this update in the educational system that is giving space for this innovation before they reach the advertising agency to create more innovative banners and applications, etc.
It's a very good comment, but usually, generally, what we have here is we have brand consultancy and mostly media.
Yes.
I think what you're talking about mostly lies on the agency or the creative agency side.
Yes.
Where usually the creative agency and the media agency work together to come up with this.
True.
So does anybody want to comment on your
Yes.
relationships with agencies or how your experiences are?
Yes, I am not a media.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so what today, because from the mobile advertising point of view, we're doing we're playing the role of an advertising agency in terms of creative, and together with the media agencies. Yes, you are right. I mean, there's a lack of communication, or there's a lack of know-how to use each and every channel on mobile advertising. This is very clear that there's a lack of know-how, how to use the channel, how to use the space in terms of design. Totally agree with you. But things are coming. I mean, this is a new channel, and
Yeah, hopefully the gap would be reduced.
yeah.
Can I add something to that? Actually, it's prompted something on social media insights and listening. So even before the brief reaches the creative and media agency, if you take that a few steps back, where do briefs traditionally come from? They come from an advertiser's marketing plan and what they've got for the year. But what we're not doing enough of is real-time planning, seeing what's happening out there in terms of what your users are saying and responding to it. Obviously, we also saw that great example in the Super Bowl where Orioles had a real-time engagement, and that's a tactical deployment. But the point is, if you're not doing social media listening and you don't know what your consumers are saying, how can you respond to them? So there's a lot of missed opportunities in that area, and I challenge every single brand that doesn't have a social listening tool or doesn't get reports on a daily basis. I challenge them and I go, you're not doing it right. You're missing something in your advertising.
Well, sorry, let's get this question and then we'll talk about a couple other things.
It's a question with a comment. I'm Hazem Abu Lughat from Mazaj FM. Maybe I'm from a radio background, but I see there's a similar case because you guys were discussing banners. And we do have that same problem in radio, where most clients just go for something very traditional, very boring, very, non-creative kind of in that sense. And this is what makes great campaigns stand out, I guess. You will always have the banners, you will always have the boring 1-minute radio commercials. Yet, we've been able to sit with the clients and convince them to do something unconventional on radio, and those campaigns usually stand out. But the unfortunate, truth is, most campaigns, unfortunately, will still be boring and a waste of money, in my personal belief. And that's what makes great campaigns stand out, whether you're doing banners versus, the Marks and Spencer case, whether we're doing, just a plain conversation ad versus a jingle, for example. So it's just, I think across all platforms, this will always remain as a problem.
But
so
also at the same time, if everybody's doing great campaigns, then there's no great campaigns anymore.
That's
so
what I'm
also
saying.
Stand up
so
again.
that's how great campaigns
clearly,
stand out, because you will always have these non-creative, boring campaigns across all platforms. So it's good to have bad banners in mobile, because it's what makes good brands and good campaigns stand out, I think.
Okay. Maud, can you talk to us a bit about the tools that you guys use to at least showcase or track what's going on. Are there any specific things that you look for when do you build your own tools? Do you use any, I mean, when you look at third-party tools, are they industry standard? Are there like 2 or 3 people or 2 or 3 providers in the world that provide this? What kind of tools do you usually use, and what is the information that you share back with your agency first? Or with your client, actually?
Okay, so in mobile, I'm not sure this is working anymore.
I think they can hear you.
Okay, so in mobile advertising, the tools we're using, yes, should follow some certain standards.
Okay.
Why? Because mobile advertising is a new channel and there are some issues on measurement and so
Okay.
on. So yeah, and on top of all this, we have to do the third-party tracking that we were discussing in the middle. However, what the tools that we're talking about, or we would like to discuss, is how you can measure your cost. I mean, today you can measure your cost per click, tomorrow you can, or today you can measure your cost per install, per download, and so on and so forth. Those tools give more media agencies
The return on investment.
exactly some insights on what's going on their investment, whether there's a return. No, there will be a return.
Hopefully there's a return on
Hopefully
investment.
so yes, those tools do create mobile advertising competitive advantage, let's say, because we're using those KPIs, let's say, indicators.
Okay, do you guys use similar tools to calculate return on investment to the clients, or is it more like a simple cost per click or impression based?
It depends what you're doing. It depends. In social, you measure it in a way, and for display advertising, you measure it. And it all depends on, before you go into a campaign, you set a KPI. And for example, on social, probably you would look into the, I know there's an entire debate about this also, if the fan, if your fan growth indicator is the main
Useful
KPI that you need to look into, or the engagement rate,
Yes.
or is it something in the apps that you use? But it all depends on what you're trying to do on which platform, and there are ways to measure your campaign. In search, probably it's conversion, it is click-through rates, etc. On display, also click-through rate. Probably try to understand, beyond the tools, probably try to understand the consumer journey while he is on the net, or while he is going through your entire display journey. So there are all sorts of tools. The beauty of it in digital is that you have the technology.
And that it's all measurable.
You have the technology to actually understand more, to be more innovative, and address your consumers.
Thank you. Let's take 2 more questions. I can't see audience.
Just one comment for the lady, حزت قلبي, because she's speaking of Lebanese agencies. One of the challenges that we have as agencies in Lebanon, and I believe the more, even in developed countries, you cannot, in one way or another, technology is fast. And unfortunately, in this part of the world and in Lebanon, and I totally hear you, yes, there are a lot of challenges in agencies in finding the right people. But the conversation with agencies and between agencies and clients changed and evolved. I remember we used to sit with a client and try to understand, try to explain to him that he needs a website. And then the conversation started going from, okay, you have a website, but you need to have it more mobile friendly. So we're getting there. Agencies in Lebanon are tremendously doing the leap. And it will always be the case for any industry or any technology-related industry, is to find the right resources and the right staffing for it.
Okay. Since we have no more questions, I'd actually like to ask each one of you, in a couple of words, how you kind of view or perceive the future of advertising. I mean, we heard a couple of words. We heard about how they're all going to merge together, how there's going to be some sort of a seamless integration, how, you know, we're not going to be able to even define it anymore. The example of television, whether it's an app or whether it's a station. But for each one of you, and in your own job and in your own positions, how do you guys see the progress? What is the trend going again? Is there anything that we can predict, if any? Actually, let's start with Boyd.
Yeah, you can kind of look how we set up as the agency landscape at the moment. less or more? Creative agencies, media agencies, social media agencies, specialist agencies. So within digital, again, a lot of specialists. We've got big agencies like ourselves there. We're a team of specialists and a generalist agency. And then you look at how clients and brands are set up. And that's interesting in itself because, they drive their agenda. They've got the advertising dollars. They've got their marketing strategy.
Okay.
So, what is the future of digital? If I told you that, you probably have to give me $1 billion, right? But, the future is convergence. And we've been using that word for quite a while. And what do we mean by convergence? We mean a single advertising message across platforms, across devices, and being able to measure that. Right, so I think Nielsen has just developed a cross-platform measurement tool, for example. We've got loads of tools in digital. We've got siloed tools that just measure search, social, mobile. So one of the challenges has always been, if we're pushing out a single message or big partnership, how do we measure that right across? So the future of digital is it's multi-screen, multi-devices, and definitely single unit content that drives through these channels.
Okay, Wilson.
You want my view on the future of communication or future of digital or what exactly?
I want your opinion on how do you see yourself doing digital advertising in the next couple of years? Do you see that it's going to be the same? Do you find any new trends? Do you think it's going to be completely different from where it is today?
There will be, in digital, obviously it's not going to be the same.
Okay.
I'm sure probably next year there will be another panel probably talking about tools that are
but
totally
you still
different.
think that there's no point of it, right?
No,
That's how you started, at least.
No, I don't. No, we started with the human being the center of everything you need to do, be it on digital or in offline or in any action you venture into. Your center should be the human being and what kind of experience you're giving to that human being on digital or anywhere else.
And you believe that this will remain?
And the future will always remain the human being. What kind of add-ons, what kind of benefits, what kind of experiences you're giving to him. Probably you're using augmented reality or you're using search or you're using regular TV or probably children will go back and play in the streets again instead of a PlayStation. But what matters most is your customer, understanding your customer. Now you have tools to do that, so agencies and the future will, I think, be investing in trying to understand more the customer.
Amin, your thoughts?
I think traditionally we've approached, in brand consultancies, we've approached it from the paradigm of positioning.
Okay.
So positioning assumes you're running an ad either before or after your competitor, and you want to do something different than he is. But today we're seeing, again, the convergence and the divergence. We're seeing brands become actual mediums themselves. So if you take the case of Red Bull creates the content, curates a lot of what's happening, it owns the events, owns its entire brand ecosystem. So it stops being about positioning and starts being about the storytelling. So I think that's what digital enables brands to do. I think it enables them to transcend competing with each other and start telling stories on their own terms without having to pay a lot of money as well. So that's in a nutshell.
For me, I will be more practical and hit more into the mobile advertising and a bit shorter
Go
term.
ahead.
Okay, for mobile advertising, I think the emergent channels we will be working on AR very soon. We will be using location-based advertising more and more. We will be, of course, using rich media banners on the banners, on the in-app advertising. This creating a one-to-one communication, creating better measurement tools to measure the exact engagement between the user and the consumer. These are three main subjects that we will be using in the very short term on the mobile advertising side. And of course, the multi-screening, this is really something that we should consider in like a couple of years. But now for me, on for the time being, this is the three main channels we'll be using.
So convergence, always human-centered,
yes,
and mobile-friendly. Augmented reality is coming, definitely. I mean, we can't get away from it, but it's not anytime soon. That's what you're saying. In addition to that, of course, we spoke about, I'm just quickly recapping, we spoke about how innovation is a very tight mixture between creativity and technology. Content is king. I think any panel can tell you that. That's not really news. And of course, and most importantly, it's all about
return on investment,
the journey and the story and telling something that actually is relevant. All right. I'd like to thank my panelists.
Thank you.
And I'd like you all to really sit tight while we prepare for the creative combat, because that's actually coming up. Do we have any questions that we haven't answered? Nothing from here. They're actually just quoting us. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you.